She was mature and sensual, always in a red dress. Even the sight of her back was enough to send a man's imagination into overdrive. My friend got her number and even arranged to go to her place, while all I could do was listen through the wall and fantasize. 2 months ago, a stunningly mature woman moved in next door. She was probably in her 30s, sophisticated, with a curvaceous figure that was both sexy and alluring. Just looking at her stirred a fire in me, filling my head with daydreams. But it was all just fantasy. In reality, we were just ordinary neighbors who exchanged simple greetings when we passed each other. Why was I so obsessed with her? Because she often left her sheer, silk stockings on the shoe rack by her door, so thin and transparent. But later, my fantasies began to fade. It all started the day my friend came over to visit. That day, my friend Ken and I were in the elevator when we ran into my neighbor, May. With her was a middle-aged man in a suit. I found it strange. I'd never seen this man before. My friend, however, stared at May, his eyes shining. Heading home, May greeted me warmly. Her red dress had a plunging neckline, and Ken was practically drooling. "Yeah," I replied. That brief encounter set off a chain of events that never should have happened. When the elevator doors opened, May and I went our separate ways, each with our guest. "Man, you've got it made, Leo," Ken said once we were inside. "Having a gorgeous older woman like that living next door. What a knockout." Ken was a real player, always chasing women, especially older ones. He probably had some kind of fetish. I quickly warned him not to get any ideas about May. "I know your type, Ken. Don't you dare mess with her." "What are you talking about?" "I'm just asking," he said, clearly intrigued. "By the way, who was that guy with her? You know him?" I had never seen the man before either, but seeing him with May made me feel a little sour. "No idea. Maybe her boyfriend." To be honest, I really liked May. If he was her new boyfriend, I'd be pretty heartbroken. "No way," Ken said, dismissing my guess immediately. "How can you be so sure?" Hearing him say that gave me a flicker of hope. Ken knew women, and if he said it, he must have a reason. Ken began to analyze the situation for me. In the elevator, I saw May keeping a certain distance from him. She was avoiding his gaze, too. I bet they don't know each other well. Hearing this, I felt a surge of happiness. So, maybe they're new colleagues? No, Ken rejected my idea again. If they were colleagues, they'd be way too formal. I bet their relationship isn't that simple. Look at how she was dressed, so revealing. You think she might be in the business? Ken leaned in conspiratorially. You think she's a hooker? I got angry and defended her immediately. How could you say that? Don't you dare slander her. Slander? I've seen plenty of women like her. I can tell she's not the decent type just by looking. Want to make a bet? Ken was ready to argue. Fine, you're on. How are you going to prove it? I challenged him, unconvinced. Ken grinned slyly. Isn't it obvious? What does a client do at a hooker's house? They're probably getting it on right now. Let's go listen at her door. We'll know for sure in a second. Listen at May's door? The thought shocked me. I didn't want to go, but a part of me desperately needed to know if May was that kind of woman. My intense curiosity won out. Alright, fine. But if you're wrong, you're buying me dinner tonight. We crept over to May's security door and pressed our ears against it. The developer must have cut corners, because the door was cheap and the soundproofing was terrible. It was easy to hear May and the man talking inside. I leaned against the door, straining to hear. I desperately hoped May was a decent woman, but Ken's intuition about women was usually spot on, leaving me torn. Just then, I heard a woman's moan from inside. It was May, her voice filled with pleasure, yet laced with a sense of wild abandon. The sound of their mingled breaths ignited a fire in me, and despite myself, I felt a natural reaction. "You're definitely buying dinner tonight," Ken whispered with a wicked grin. "Crap, let's go." Before I could respond, I heard footsteps approaching the door from the inside. Someone was coming out. Terrified, I grabbed Ken and bolted back into my apartment. That guy was quick. "Not even 3 minutes," Ken remarked, peering through my peephole, clearly not having heard enough. Sure enough, the man came out. I felt sick and angry, unable to believe May was that kind of person. "Move, let me see." I pushed Ken aside and looked through the peephole myself. I saw the man standing at her door. "Why are you kicking me out so soon?" May extended a slender arm and tossed something in his face. "What's the rush? It's broad daylight. What if the neighbor's here? Come back tonight, late. I'll let you stay the night." "All right." The man, completely bewitched by her, agreed immediately. "Ha ha ha, what did I tell you? Was I wrong?" Ken roared with laughter. My jaw dropped. If Ken hadn't dragged me over to eavesdrop, I never would have known this side of May. The stockings by her door suddenly lost their appeal. But my interest in her body only grew. "So, where are we going for dinner?" "My treat," I said, my heart aching. Ken had no idea how many nights I had spent fantasizing about May. And it turned out, all it took was money. But Ken then asked me, "Hey, do you have her number?" "What for?" "To ask her out, of course. A woman that beautiful? Not hitting on her isn't my style. Give me her number, and I'll send you a little video later, how about that?" Look at that disappointed face. Don't tell me you like her, do you? $500 could probably get you the whole night. Ken winked at me, he must have sensed my feelings for May. His words infuriated me. I don't know what came over me, but I gave him her number. It was easy enough to find in our building's residence group chat. With May's number in hand, Ken couldn't even be bothered with dinner. "Bro, wait for me to test out her skills. I'll let you know how good she is, haha." After Ken left, I was filled with regret. Damn it, I should have just paid for it myself. Honestly, May was exactly my type, so full of womanly charm. Otherwise, I wouldn't have fantasized about her so much. Even now that my beautiful illusion was shattered, I still wanted her. I had just never paid for sex before and didn't know how to bring it up. The next morning, on my way to work, I ran into May as she was leaving her apartment. "Morning, May," I said, a little dejectedly, half tempted to ask her if I could pay her. But May looked a little uncomfortable. "Leo, I hope what happened yesterday didn't cause you any trouble." She gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, and a wave of her perfume washed over me. It was intoxicating. In the small elevator, with May standing so close, I stole a sideways glance. Her dress was stretched tight across her chest. It was a magnificent sight. What happened yesterday? My guilty conscience flared. Did she know Ken and I had been listening at her door? May then told me earnestly, "Oh, so you didn't hear? That was a very important client of mine yesterday. He drove me home, and I invited him up for a moment. I didn't expect him to try and take advantage of me. You know how it is, he's a man, stronger than me. I was afraid he'd get violent. Luckily, I managed to trick him into leaving. He tried to come back last night, but I didn't even open the door." Hearing her explanation, I suddenly felt incredibly happy. No wonder I had listened at the wall all night and heard nothing more. So that's what happened. May, that's disgusting, having a client like that. Next time you have a problem, just shout, and I'll definitely help you. Oh, Leo, if you do that for me, I don't know how I could ever thank you. May exchanged a few more pleasantries and then left for work. But then I slapped my thigh. Damn it! I had just remembered that I gave May's number to Ken. What if Ken said something he shouldn't and ruined my image in her eyes? At work, I called Ken and tried to explain, begging him not to message May, especially not to say anything about paying for sex. But Ken's voice came over the phone, "Bro, I think we were totally wrong. I chatted with her all night, and she never once mentioned money. You already talked to her?" My heart sank. It was over. Ken sighed dramatically. Then, his tone shifted, and he burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha, but bro, my game is strong. I've already got May wrapped around my finger. I'm going over to her place tonight to make that little video for you. Don't worry, how could I forget my brother? I'll record plenty for you, enough to last a year." Ken hung up, ecstatic. But I was furious. My mind was a mess all day. Even though May wasn't that kind of woman, I had personally handed her contact information over to Ken, and he had successfully scored a date. I could have killed him. The thought tormented me all day long. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. That evening, my phone rang. It was Ken. "Bro, guess where I am?" "Where?" I asked, roused from a deep sleep. "I'm downstairs from your building. Heading up now," Ken said, crowing like a victorious rooster. I shot out of bed. "You're coming to my place?" "I'll get the door." "No, no, no, don't you dare ruin this for me. I'm on my way to May's place. I'm going to conquer her tonight." Ken hung up, but I could already hear his voice from outside my door. I rushed to the entrance, intending to pull him inside, but at that exact moment, May opened her door. My heart went cold. Peeking through the peephole, I watched as May warmly invited Ken into her home. Before he was even inside, that pervert Ken already had his arms around her. May let out a soft moan and pulled him in. "Hey, don't be in such a rush. Ha ha ha, why are you so shy now? You were so bold when we were chatting." May's security door clicked shut. Hiding behind my own door, I was consumed with regret. That bastard Ken was so smooth. Guys like him always got the girl. He knew I liked May, but he still went after her. And worse, I would probably have to spend my lonely nights watching videos starring him. I was filled with rage and resentment, but my body betrayed me, and I pressed my ear to the wall. I grabbed a disposable paper cup and poked a hole in the bottom. Sure enough, through the wall, the sound was much clearer. I could hear Ken's voice from next door. "Baby, hurry up and take it off for me." "Okay." The sounds gradually morphed into something indescribable. "Beast," I muttered, my mind flooded with graphic images. But just as I was cursing Ken, a loud shout suddenly echoed from next door. Ah! It was Ken. He let out a single, sharp cry, and then there was silence. I scoffed at his lack of stamina, not even a fraction of mine. But then I thought, wait a second. Ken couldn't be that bad. If he dared to offer to film a video for me, he must have had some confidence in his abilities. How could he be finished in less than 3 minutes? And it was too quiet. The other side of the wall was cloaked in a dead silence. I listened all night but heard nothing else. Ken, what happened yesterday? Ken, you there? Ken, say something if you're not dead. For an entire day, my messages to Ken went unanswered. It was as if he had vanished from the face of the earth. That evening, after I got home from work, I heard a knock at the door. Leo, are you home? It was May's voice. I secretly peeked through the peephole. May was still wearing that short red dress. From this angle, I had a perfect view of the pale expanse of her chest. Her skin was so delicate. May. I opened the door to find her standing there, exuding a captivating charm. Her legs were bare and porcelain white. She wasn't wearing stockings today. Leo, what took you so long? Aren't you going to invite me in? May took a small step forward, and though there was still some distance between us, she was almost pressed against my chest. Here, I cooked today and brought you some. I then noticed she was holding a steaming dish. It was covered with a plate, so I couldn't see what it was. Please, come in. Knowing Ken had spent the night at her place left me with a mix of feelings, but when May came to me, I couldn't bring myself to refuse her. May walked in with a smile and placed the dish on my dining table. Eat it while it's hot. With that, she lifted the plate. It was a bowl of spicy meat stew. The rich, savory aroma made my mouth water. In the bright red broth, the meat looked so tender. May, you're too kind, cooking for me. May giggled. We're neighbors, don't be a stranger. Go on, try it. See how you like my cooking. Seeing the expectant look in her eyes, I quickly grabbed my chopsticks and took a bite. Delicious. It was incredible. The meat was exceptionally tender, and the flavor was perfect. I couldn't help but dig in. You have some too, May. No, I still have some at my place, she said, just watching me eat. Her eyes held a shimmering, liquid quality. This was very different from before. Could it be that sleeping with someone changed a woman this much overnight? The old May never looked at me like this. May, I heard someone knocking on your door late last night. Who was it? I asked, trying to casually bring up Ken. May smiled. You don't know? It was your friend, the one we met in the elevator. She admitted it freely. He just came by for a little while and then left. Left? I couldn't process that for a moment. How could Ken have just left? May's gaze on me grew more and more intense. Leo, do you like me? My heart skipped a beat. Why was she suddenly asking me this? May, who told you that? I tried to deny it, which was ridiculous. We were both adults. Seeing my embarrassment, May couldn't help but chuckle. It was your friend. He told me you liked me. He talked about it all night. To be honest, I'm not against the idea of dating a younger man. It's just... May looked at me quietly, then suddenly burst out laughing. It's just that if you want to pursue me, you'll have to pass my test. I was stunned. What? Ken wasn't trying to pick her up that night, he was confessing my feelings for me. My God, I had completely misjudged my best friend. Looking at the mature, beautiful May before me, my heart fluttered. May. Don't call me that, call me May, she corrected. May. I murmured, shamelessly. May seemed to enjoy it. Good boy. You should have told me sooner, but it's not too late. I'll give you a 3-day trial period. If you can pass, then on the last night, I'll let you. May tapped my nose with her finger. Under the table, she extended a beautiful leg and gently hooked it around mine. She slowly slid it down my leg. I was instantly hard. The third night, I was completely captivated by her. May, no matter what your test is, I like you. May nodded. Then I'll head back. I'll make you something delicious again tomorrow. Seeing that I had finished the dish she made, she collected the bowl and left. After she was gone, I was so happy I could have jumped for joy. But deep down, something felt wrong. Could Ken really be that nice? Knowing him, he wasn't that kind of person. Besides, I had definitely heard Ken and May making noises next door. And if Ken had really done such a good deed, he wouldn't have ignored my messages. He would have been bragging about it for hours. Suddenly, I was overwhelmed with suspicion. Filled with doubt, I decided to call him. Ring, ring, ring. From next door, I heard the familiar ringtone of Ken's phone. I froze. I was sure of it. That was definitely Ken's ringtone. But when I tried calling again, the phone was off. Connecting this with Ken's mysterious disappearance, my brain short-circuited. I decided I had to investigate this properly. The next day, I took a long leave of absence from work and spent the entire day watching May's movements. She left for work at 8 in the morning. But to my surprise, she returned at 9, carrying a full bag of groceries, her face dark and sullen. I couldn't help but guess that May probably wasn't going to work every day, but out to buy groceries. If she had just taken a day off, she would have slept in, not gone grocery shopping so early. What was even stranger was that May didn't leave the house for the rest of the day. I watched through my peephole all day until the evening, when May came over again to bring me her delicious food. And it was at the exact same time as yesterday, not a minute off. May, what delicious thing did you make for me today? Spicy meat stew again, Leo. My test for you is to see if you love eating this dish I make. May walked in as if she owned the place. It's my favorite dish. I eat it almost every day. If you can't eat the same thing as me every day, it will be hard for us to be together, right? I'm your girlfriend, after all. You have to have the same taste as me. May was already acting like my girlfriend. Of course, spicy meat stew is my favorite, I said, feigning composure. My mind, however, was racing, trying to figure out what May was up to. Then eat up, she said, sitting in a chair, watching me with a smiling, supervisory gaze. Although I didn't know what she was planning, I quickly finished the stew. Then we'll continue tomorrow. If you can really eat spicy meat stew every day, I'll move in with you. May placed her hand on the back of my head, tilted it forward, and kissed my forehead. May, I can hardly wait, I said. But honestly, I felt uneasy. May's personality had changed too drastically. And we lived right next door. Why would she move in with me instead of me moving in with her? Whatever. I just wanted to get to the bottom of what happened to Ken. The next morning, I was back at my peephole, monitoring May's actions. Sure enough, at 8 o'clock sharp, she appeared at her door. Today, as she came out, she seemed puzzled, casting a suspicious glance at my door. I usually left for work around the same time, so we always met in the elevator. My absence for 2 consecutive days had made her suspicious. But she only looked at my door for a moment before leaving. As she walked away, her face was expressionless, her eyes somewhat vacant. Something's not right, I thought, smacking my head. How could May be one person in front of me and a completely different person when she was alone? Was the personality she showed me just an act? If I didn't go to work tomorrow, May would definitely become suspicious. I made a rash decision and called a locksmith. Hello, locksmith? Can you be here in 10 minutes? I locked my keys in my apartment and I'm late for work. 10 minutes later, the locksmith opened May's door for me. I threw a $100 bill at him. Keep the change. Then, with a slam, I shut the door, locking him out. Time was of the essence. I was betting on May returning at 9. I still had some time. Where's the phone? I began to rummage through her apartment, searching for Ken's phone. If his phone was really in May's apartment, she wouldn't carry it with her. It had to be hidden somewhere in the house. Huh, what's this? In a drawer, I found something strange. A cremation certificate. I jumped back in shock. Why would May keep something like this in her house? Who in her family had died? I opened it, and my legs almost gave out from under me. Damn it! The cremation certificate was for Maylee. The photo on it was the spitting image of her. I checked the birth date. She would only be 18 today. A wave of icy dread washed over me, a chill creeping up my spine. A ghost. Could it be that May had died at 18 and was now living next door as a ghost? I was terrified. My mind was a chaotic mess. Just as I was about to flee, I heard the sound of a key in the lock. Shit! It had to be May. She was back. I quickly threw the certificate back in the drawer and hid inside her wardrobe. It was packed full of black stockings and red dresses, all identical. I hid among them, almost buried. Curled up in a ball, I broke out in a cold sweat. I heard the sound of May taking off her high heels. Click, clack. The sound of her shoes dropping. Then, the sound of the refrigerator opening. The meat is running low again. I'll cut some more. I'll make more stew for Leo tonight. He likes it so much, I have to satisfy him, May muttered to herself. Hiding in the closet, I wanted to scream, just go buy some meat. But to my horror, May didn't go out to buy meat. Instead, she walked into her bedroom. Leaning against the wardrobe, I nearly wet myself. I saw May, holding a sharp boning knife, her eyes dark, walking step by step towards me. Had she found me? My legs turned to jelly, I was about to collapse into a puddle of fear. But just then, May stopped in front of the bed. She lifted the mattress to reveal the storage space underneath. Which piece should I cut today? I was on the verge of losing my mind. I saw him in the storage space. Ken was lying on a huge plastic sheet, surrounded by blood. Poor Ken, he was so mutilated he was barely recognizable as human. I even doubted if he was still alive. I saw that Ken was tied down in a spread eagle position, his breathing shallow and labored. His eyes had been gouged out, leaving 2 large, bloody sockets. I could still see the raw tissue. He opened his mouth, but there was no tongue inside. His throat could only produce a very faint sound. The most horrifying thing was the gaping wound in Ken's stomach. May squatted down, gently pinched a piece of Ken's belly fat with her fingers, and then began to slice. Ugh! Ken let out a series of agonized groans, but they were muffled in his throat, making almost no sound. Piece by piece, she cut off several slices of fresh meat. It was only then that I realized a person could live for so long even after their stomach had been sliced open. I'll cut a little less today. He's not going to last much longer. I have to make sure the ingredients are fresh for tomorrow's stew. Hearing those words, I threw up. May was making me eat Ken. But I knew I couldn't make a sound, or I would be next. Just then, May's gaze suddenly fell on the nightstand. The drawer wasn't completely closed. Oh no, I must have been in too much of a hurry and didn't close the drawer properly. Now she knew. Sure enough, May pulled open the drawer, and a ferocious expression crossed her face. I swallowed hard. But then I saw May close the drawer, and as if to vent her anger, she plunged the knife into Ken's thigh. Ken's whole body tensed up, his muscles twitching violently. After stabbing Ken, May pulled out the knife and left. Thud! I heard May's security door close. She was gone. I waited for a moment, but she didn't come back. I stumbled out of the closet. Ken! Are you okay? Oh my God, what am I going to do? I saw the bloody hole in Ken's leg, blood gushing out. I quickly took off my undershirt and tied it around the wound. Ken was trembling uncontrollably, his bloody mouth open, trying to say something. Ken, hang in there. I'll call for an ambulance as soon as I get out. Don't worry, bro, I won't leave you. Ken seemed to hear me and was so agitated he nearly choked. To be honest, I didn't dare stay there any longer. I turned and ran for the door. Just as I stepped out of the bedroom, I felt a cold draft behind me. Ah! It was the cunning May. She hadn't left the apartment at all. She was just trying to lure me out. She was hiding by the door, holding a frying pan, and she swung it at my head. I let out a blood-curdling scream. My head swam, and I collapsed on the floor, unconscious. I don't know how long I was out, but when I came to, I found I couldn't move. I was tied to the bed, spread-eagled. My hands and feet were bound tightly. Help me! I was so scared I started to cry, and I couldn't control my bladder. Stop screaming. Have you forgotten? It's just you and me on this floor, May said, sitting beside me, stroking my face. Sob, sob. Why are you doing this, May? I never hurt you. Please, let me go, okay? Begging for my life was the only thing I could do. I can't let you go, Leo. If I do, you'll definitely call the police. You're a ghost, you're not afraid of the police. I blurted out, my eyes darting towards the nightstand. May must have known I had seen the cremation certificate. Don't look, she said sadly. That's not me. It's my daughter. At the mention of her daughter, May became extremely emotional. My daughter was raped and murdered. She was just a student. It's all because of you filthy men. I want to kill every last one of you. Leo, you should blame your friend for trying to seduce me. Otherwise, you wouldn't be lying here today. May's daughter was the real Mei Li. At 16, she was taking an exam in another city. To save money, she stayed in a cheap motel. That night, a drunken man stumbled into the wrong room and mistook her for a prostitute he had ordered. He brutally raped the poor girl. When she cried and threatened to report him, the drunken man became enraged and strangled her to death. Sobering up, the man panicked. He dismembered her body in the bathroom and threw the pieces into a river. The motel had virtually no security. It was an illegal establishment. The killer was never caught. Overcome with grief, May decided to pose as a prostitute to find the murderer. She hadn't spared a single man who showed that kind of intention. "Leo, you don't seem like that kind of person. I don't want to kill you, but now, I have no choice." May seemed deeply pained, almost deranged by the memory of her daughter. "You took a long leave from work, that's great. You can keep me company for a month." May caressed my face, then put down my phone. She brought her face close to mine and kissed me on the lips. With her eyes closed, she looked beautiful. "Darling, you love me so much. We still have a little time. Within a month, you must finish eating Ken. You have to complete the task." "No." Before I could finish, May had already picked up a slice of the stewed meat, pried open my mouth, and shoved it down my throat. "Hurry up and eat. There's a whole pot left." In a moment of desperation, I bit down hard on her finger. I swear I used every ounce of strength I had left in my life. She screamed, a horrific, piercing shriek that seemed to cut through the floors of the building. Later, I was rescued. It was the building management. They said they had noticed people in the complex going missing for a while but had no evidence. That day, someone downstairs complained about the noise. When no one answered their knocking, they broke down the door and found me. After that, I lost all interest in black stockings. Fortunately, I found a gentle and caring wife, and now my life is peaceful and happy. Ken was rescued too. He needed psychiatric treatment for a while, but he eventually recovered and got his old spirit back. He often says to let the past be the past and to be a better person from now on.